Hey guys, Grifton here, and today I am joined by my buddy Gho, who is a balanced druid. You've probably seen us together before. We used to do a podcast together, and today we are talking about the idea of a hybrid balance resto build, because I think, in the nicest terms, balance is gonna suck at 25. Now,
You're
I may
not
be
wrong.
wrong. I may be wrong, and
No.
but the reason I bring this up is because I was looking at one of the specific runes, and it feels like Blizzard is trying to tell balanced druids, hey, you're not going to be a balanced druid, you're going to be a hybrid druid that does balance damage. And so I brought Go in, and we're going to go over the talents, and we're going to use Wowhead because it's already got the runes incorporated, to just kind of go over like what a balanced talent tree looks like, but also what a resto balance hybrid might look like, and how they probably might overlap more than we think. Sound good? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's jump into it. Okay, got the screen all set up. Okay, so first, if you guys don't know, this is Wowhead. It now already has the runes like set up here. They don't do anything, they don't affect anything, but you can also see like what skills you have at the bottom. So like if you have a certain amount of points in, it'll tell you what you have the access to, which makes it really easy, especially if you're a bear wondering if, hey, do I have swipe, do I have this? You can calculate that looking at it here. So this is pretty handy, so check it out on Wowhead. But the main focus we have is to figure out Boomy. So first I'm going to put in the talent points that I think a Boomy would probably take, in my opinion, if they were just booming it up. And we kind of already discussed this, but yeah, you're going to go full Wrath. You're going to go improve Moonfire. You're going to take improved Thorns, even though you don't want to, in Nature's Reach, really, because you don't want to, and we're put 1 point in Vengeance. And then for the runes, we're going to take Fury of the Storm Rage. I should point out, we recorded this whole thing, and I forgot to turn Go's mic on. So we're re-recording this. So if it sounds slightly rehearsed, it's because we've already had this conversation, but whatever. We're going to take Sunfire, even though we don't fully understand what the purpose of it is. We think it's just to let them nature damage it up, but whatever. And then, of course, you're going to take Star Surge. So these are the balance runes. That's the only choices. Now, Blizzard did say they showed only 12 of 20 or something like that, right? Like there's still more to come that we didn't see. So maybe there's something there. Anyway. Okay.
We talked about that last night, and people were saying not at level 25.
So later on.
Later on, yeah. So
okay.
Should be all we have access to at 25.
That's good, because at least now we know like what you're getting into. Okay, so this is what a balanced druid would look like, and here's the problems. There's a couple. The main thing is the best talents are down here, and you can't reach them yet. And on top of that, like the ones you can take aren't really like super helpful. Even if you look at the runes, which Fury of the Storm Rage is an interesting one, and we will talk about it because this is the crux of the hybrid build I want to talk about. Essentially, it reduces the mana cost of Wrath by 100%, which is amazing because any mana problems you had casting Wrath are gone. However, with Moonfire and Sunfire now, it might balance back out, but then again, maybe you should only be using one, and we'll talk about that. And then Sunfire, which is the one we just talked about, it's essentially Moonfire except nature damage instead of arcane damage, and you can use it in cat and bear form. I don't know, whatever, I talked about that in my video. If you can tell me the logic of this, I think in the future when Sunfire comes out, it is like this because you can use Moonfire like this, but I don't see anyone giving up, I think it's like mangle or lacerate to take Sunfire, though there is an argument for it for a feral, like a bear, because we don't have feral fairy fire to pull. So a good pull, though, you can just shift out of form, cast Moonfire, and shift into form. I don't know. Anyway, and then Star Surge, which is instant, but it has a cooldown, like 12 seconds, you said?
I think it's 15, but
15
yeah, it's
seconds.
really short.
But it's instant, which makes this nice. Yeah. And it's arcane damage, which is important because we're going to talk about gear in a second. So do you agree this is like the balanced druid?
Just strictly PvE, yeah, because you can't root indoors in Classic, so Nature's Grasp and Entangling Roots has zero value.
Zero value.
We're not going to be meleeing, so
this is gone.
Nature's whatever that one is.
Natural weapons and
Natural
Omen of
weapons,
Clarity
yeah.
are both only physical damage. And then Natural
And we can't
Shapeshifter,
shift.
you can't
Yeah.
shift yet.
So
Yeah.
our options are really limited except for that last point. If you want to have a stun for trash, you can, but you're not
Yeah.
gonna be able to stun bosses.
But it's not a guaranteed stun. It's a 3%
it's
chance
a
to stun.
small stun. But when it does stun, it feels so good.
Yeah. What's the max for it? 15%? Yeah, 15% chance to stun.
And we don't really have that high of crit either. So
yeah, and the other one, the critical strike chance. Yeah, and that is the biggest problem, is like balance gets better at 40, and that's not just, I think that's not just my opinion. I remember back in Classic, because also Feral gets really good at 40-ish, the area, because you start to be able to properly do power shifting with the Wolf's Head Helm, or Wolf Shed Helm, or however you want to call it. So like both of them get good, and before that, you're stuck in Cat, not because it's like amazing, but because it's better than the mana problems that have the balance druids go through the whole thing. Now, the Wrath being free kind of, I would say, fixes probably for leveling at least, and your healing touch. You can definitely heal yourself. You're not going to die ever with Fury of the Storm Rage, in my opinion. And this, if I had to guess, this is probably your first one you get. I don't know how it works, but like this one's OP for leveling, because you can just cast forever and never use mana except for healing. But as far as mana and damage doing at 25, there's not a lot of spell power gear. There is some arcane damage and some nature damage gear that you can get, but it's not huge, and it doesn't scale well with the spells that you have. So if you go that route, you're going to be because you have no intellect to boost your mana pool. And if you go intellect, your spell power is like pretty much 0. But intellect is probably, like you said, I think you mentioned earlier, it's your plan is go intellect, right?
Yeah, it gives you a tiny bit of crit. So
yeah, the crit's a big thing, and like the mana pool, for casting, the Star Surge, and I mean, I guess are you going to be casting Starfire? Like, is it in your rotation?
No, it's a 3.5 second base cast. I want to say we don't have any haste. We don't have Nature's Grace. So even if that 1 point in improved Starfire, you're still at a 3.4 second cast, and it feels so long.
I bet
like you're getting
3.5 seconds. That's so long.
Insanely long.
Yeah, and you can reduce it down to 3 seconds, which isn't fast. So if you get Nature's Grace, yes, it makes it down to 2.5, which is still a long cast. Whereas Wrath, it's at 1.5 down to 1, and it instantly gives you a healing touch, which doesn't matter as a balanced druid, but it might matter for a hybrid build. Okay, so I think druids, if I had to pick a class that was like a specific spec that was like 25 is going to be painful, I'd say balanced druid's probably like the biggest struggling class. I mean, I haven't looked into like fire mages, but they were pretty strong at low level pretty quick. But anyway, so the reason I want to talk about all this is because I think that Blizzard has been trying to get us to embrace the hybrid build for balance, because like the hybrid concept for Feral is not new. Bear tank, Feral cat, like you're both. You're always like, hey, switch to cat and do it, especially at endgame where like the spec is almost identical, if not identical, for both cat and bear. Now, the runes would be different, but luckily the runes aren't attached to anything in particular. You can just swap the gear out and bam, you're a cat again. However, for balance and resto, you really don't have that option early on. However, again, the runes kind of make it so it's a thing. And so, again, I want to talk about Fury of the Storm Rage. That should be called Fury of Storm Rage, but whatever. Okay, so it says reduce the mana cost of Wrath by 100%, and each time you deal damage with Wrath, you have a 12% chance for your next cast of Healing Touch within 15 seconds to be instant. So essentially, if you're spamming Wrath, every 7 Wraths on average, you should get a proc for an instant Healing Touch. So you do that, you Healing Touch. On top of that, I'm going to switch these a little bit. We're going to switch to Wild Growth, and we're going to switch to Life Bloom. On top of that, if you pick Life Bloom up, your Rejuve cooldown is now 0.5 seconds and your Life Bloom is 0.5 seconds, which makes putting your hots on even easier. So you can put them up and then keep, Wrath. So you can rely on your hots and your hots here. And then when they need a heal, you have a healing touch, because yes, every 7 times you get it, but the buff or the proc lasts for 15 seconds. So you get a huge window to use that. You're like, okay, he's full. I'm going to save it. Okay, now he needs it. Instant heal. And the reason I think this makes the most sense is not just because they kind of work this way, but also because the balance tree is so weak that the only thing I would put points in is reducing the wrath time to allow you to proc that more frequently, and then go into improve Mark of the Wild, and then improve healing touch if you do need to heal. Go, you pointed out earlier that 12% is still pretty low. You still have to hit it, and you might need to just truly heal. And then possibly, we talked about this, 1 point insect swarm. So you could open by going Moonfire, Insect Swarm, Rejuve on tank, Wrath, and keep in mind, Wrath, because it costs no mana, doesn't trigger your MP5 cooldown. So if you front load all of your dots and hots while you're casting Wrath, your MP5 can kick in, and then you can wait, do a healing touch, which will cost mana. It won't trigger the MP5, but as soon as you do, you reapply your hots and dots back to Wrath again. So your mana should be regenning, even though you didn't pick up the 1 point in mana. So if you wanted, you could drop Insect Swarm and take this to help you out even more. But this is kind of cool because no one else is going to have this except for a Resto Druid balance hybrid. Because if you're pure Resto, you're not taking Insect Swarm because you're just doing Resto. And if you're pure balance, you're probably going to try to get Vengeance. So you are the Insect Swarm dude that reduces the hit chance, which is kind of cool. Or yeah, decreases their hit chance, keeping your tank alive, making you even more effective as a healer. Thoughts?
The thing I was thinking about with Fear of the Storm Rage is it's probably pretty decent for the hybrid at this point, but eventually down the line, your healing and spell power are different in Classic Season of Discovery. So the more healing that you get, you're not going to be keeping up with your Wrath's damage, so it might not be as effective once we hit 40. But for now, I agree with this being able to be used as kind of like a hybrid thing. Yeah,
I agree. I think this is true regardless. I think that once you get higher level, some of these hybrid ideas start to fall apart. Yes, you can still heal, but like you're not going to be as healing effective as someone who's built healing power. However, I want to point out, you could, because this is on your gear, you could have a really good healing chest, a really good healing, glove, and a really good healing leg. And because they talked about tier gear, and hey, we need you to, hybrid heal. You'd still have a lot of your damage and healing, so you are helping your healing a little bit. But for these 3 pieces, you could wear healing gear, and then yes, you're right. As you get higher and higher, you become less and less effective. But so does your healers. Your pure healer also becomes more effective, and it might be that, hey, we just need like a secondary healer, an off healer. Like throw heals on. And the thing is, even if you still take Star Search, which is a decent spell, especially at 40 if you're talking later levels. I think taking Wild Growth over Sunfire, which you don't super need because you've got Moonfire, you could just be like, hey, you're raid healing, throw a Wild Growth every 7 seconds. Whenever your cycle finishes, just Wild Growth. Because if you are doing what's the cooldown? Let me look. What's Moonfire?
There's no cooldown on Moonfire.
Not cooldown. What's 12 seconds?
Oh, yeah.
That means you're out of the MP5 for at least 7 seconds, because if you're only casting Wrath at this point, that means your MP5 mana regen should be, I mean, if you're getting some spirit, I'm not sure what the build's going to look like for balance, because that might be the play, is stack spirit so that everything else you spend mana on doesn't affect you, because your Wrath is free and you're just spam. I'm really curious, like, if you can come up with like a good cycle where you're Wrath, Moonfire, Wild Growth, Wrath, and you are the raid healer. Like you're not hitting everybody, but you're hitting enough people that the other healer can keep you alive. Because I think, and I watched your stream last night, Scotty J even said, I don't expect these raids to be super hard. They just want to be challenging. They're not going to be, you know, heroic Lich King. I think they're going to be more like heroic Lady Death Whisper. I don't know. I'm trying to think what's a mildly easy heroic.
It's going to be like Flame Leviathan. Week 1,
yeah,
heroic. It might be hard the first week, and then after that first week, people know what they're doing.
There's a learning curve. There should be a learning curve though. Like I was watching Guzu. I don't know how to say his name. Is that right? Guzu. I was watching his stream or his, you know, his footage, and all I could think was like, this is only hard because nobody knows what they're doing, and like once everyone understands the mechanic, it becomes pretty easy pretty quickly. And I'm okay with that. Like, yeah, because the great thing is we don't have that beta for everyone to over prep for it. Like, yeah, we're gonna know what the first 3 bosses are, but there are more bosses in that instance that people are gonna be like literally hitting a brick wall all at the same time, and people going like, what did you do to get around the spell that makes people disappear randomly? Oh, if you stand in the water, it doesn't make them. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be, you know, you're gonna see people in the chat, like in like trade chat and like active, you know, just like locate, or what's it called, zone chat, just like spamming, oh, stand in the fire or whatever. And it's going to be really cool to see like that. But I do think that trying to bring more DPS, but also having a heal, like pocket heal, like druids can be, I think this is a play. I think this is a thing that you're going to see a true hybrid class play a true hybrid class, because we are the original hybrids. We are the, you know, and balance has always been its own thing, and resto's kind of always been its own thing, and feral has been a hybrid class like DPS tank. And I think this is Blizzard saying, hey, balance, you're a hybrid class, play like a hybrid class. And are you going to push back on that?
Oh, I'm absolutely pushing back on it. As soon as we're done, I'm making a video on why Balance Druid sucks.
Maybe they'll fix it. And that's what I'm wondering. Like, because I do think balance is so weak, I'm curious if they're not going to change it, and they're going to be like, no, we made it like that so you'd embrace the world of resto. You would see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh man.
For level 25.
Yeah. One other thing that's going to be in both balance and resto's rotation is going to be fairy fire. It's back down to 40 seconds instead of 5 minutes that we're used to now in Wrath. So we got to keep our fairy fires going.
That's a really good point, because ferals can't apply it because they don't even have it until 40. Like, yes, they can pop out and open with it, but they're not going to. But yeah, so you're going to have to at level 18. So you definitely will all have it. You'll have to reapply it. That's going to probably be your most annoying, not annoying, because it's, 40 seconds still, 3 rotations. But it is going to be something you have to focus on. And especially if you've got Insect Swarm and you're doing Moonfire and you're healing, honestly, balance hybrid might be a lot of fun, because I will tell you, I did Disc Priest back in Kata because my friend, he was like, it's so fun, you got to try it. And I leveled 1, and you hit around like 30. I can't remember what the sweet spot was, but it was right around 30 or 35. And you get the right combination of spells, and you were like top DPS while you're healing the tank. And I'm telling you, man, you become the DPS top DPS healer because your wraths are free. It might be something amazing, and you might lean into it. You don't know,
It was super fun playing the alpha test, because so many instant casts now instead of just having Wrath, Moonfire,
slow
Starfire.
Yeah.
I was repositioning and jumping around, doing flips and stuff as a night elf, and it was fun, but I don't know if I was actually doing much damage.
Yeah. Well, and that was one of the things I was noticing, because Guzu, nobody's got add-ons. So someone made a joke like, oh, top DPS, and you're like, yep, for all we know, that's true. Like, nobody has any idea who's contributing, and I wonder if that might be a good thing at some point where you're like,
no add-ons.
Please. Yeah, but you say that, Go, but I want to point out, you are a big DPS 99 parser guy, and if they take away add-ons, they take away parsing.
Oh, because hey, that's fine.
All right. Anyway, that's all I want to talk about. Anything you want to say about the hybrid class and whether you think it's going to be successful?
Successful, sure. I think it's kind of risky though, with that only 12% chance for Wrath to proc that instant cast heal.
Mm-hmm.
So you could get really unfortunate RNG and then have to hard cast, but you've got that backup. You've got those 5 points and improved healing touch to reduce the cast. And the cast time of like down ranking at that level, if you have rank 1 healing touch instead, then it's going to be a super fast.
Yeah.
Even if it's not instant.
Down ranking.
Down ranking.
Go. You just broke my. I forgot. Yes. That alone is a game changer when you can down rank. The thing is, like, man, you're right. I don't even know what to say. You're right. You can down rank and be an absolute Chad if you know how to play these classes, because it's no longer balance. It's balance resto. If you know how to play this really strong, like you know how to use your rejuves properly, and man, I think it's going to be really cool to see people come out and start playing like these really fun hybrid classes. And I think, yeah, mages are obviously going to be one of them. But I think balance has the opportunity to, and I hope we get to see some balance healers. Can we call them that? Balance healers? We got to come up with a cool name.
Restokin.
Yeah, I guess that's what it's supposed to be called.
Yet.
Yeah. So you're just like Ballesto. I'll work on it. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe. Check out Gho. He's got his own channel, Classic Gho, at YouTube. All that good stuff. Thanks, and as always, you want to say it?
Take care.